Oh. I mean, honestly, some of them look like the trailer could just tip over. Oh my gosh.
Today is a Real Talk Tuesday. We're bringing you what it was really like to drive that Alcan highway.
Yeah, there was so much that we had to leave out because we condensed it into a little episode, polished and made it look all nice and beautiful because it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Yeah. But a lot of people have asked us, what was the road really like? Did you have any damage?
And there was a ton, even for us going into it, a lot of concerns because you always hear about, oh, the Alcan highway, it's so crazy. Good luck. It was paved most of the way. I heard all these things about how the Alcan was, big sections of it are gravel and it's going to be really rough on the RV and all that kind of stuff. And there were sections that certainly were gravel and dirt.
Yeah.
But for the majority, it really was paved.
The sections that were gravel happened only in the Yukon. It really wasn't anywhere else, and it was mostly between Whitehorse and the Alcan border. John would walkie me and say, there's gravel, stay behind.
Back the Jeep up.
Yeah, back up so you don't
throw rocks.
Right.
That was another thing I kind of found surprising was how much construction there was. There'd be periods of time where, you'd roll up, there's nothing around, all of a sudden there's just one of those like automated portable stoplights with nothing around it, no one in sight, and it's red, and you're like, should I stop here?
Like, if the pilot car does not show up in 15 minutes, then you can go ahead.
Yeah. The Alcan highway, especially from Whitehorse on, has a lot of frost heaves, and if you don't know what those are, that's where the ground underneath the highway freezes and expands and pushes up the pavement, makes these nice little humps, and some of them are manageable, but some of them are total car killers. Yeah. There are parts where it was just the entire road for a couple miles would just be ruined, where you could maybe drive 30 miles an hour. The parts where everybody talk about the gravel being kind of scary, the frost heaves are, in my opinion, what's more dangerous. And of course the animals. I mean, having worked up here for a little while now, and there'll be stuff coming up about, my job and that stuff later on, but a lot of the patients that I see are animal versus car, because the animals up here are big, you guys.
But you know what has been treating us well is this suspension.
Thank God we had this MORride suspension and all of the suspension upgrades too, like the axles, the leaf springs. It was all of the stuff in combination that we did together that really made a difference. That being said, the leaf springs on the heavier side of the trailer, which is where the kitchen area is, still flattened out quite a bit. And remember, you guys, those were the upgraded leaf springs. Yeah. So even that, still the road took a toll on them, and we'll probably be upgrading or at least replacing when we make the return trip.
For sure. I think part of that too is that we traveled with a full tank because we didn't want to get water anywhere, so we had
we had no idea where it would be.
And then when we got to Alaska, which you're going to see this weekend, we took a very adventurous trip with Wendy, which contributed greatly to the flattening of the leaf spring. We were worried that we would come to a place where there was no gas stations anywhere and we would run out of gas unless we had a ton of fuel on board with us. And did we ever have to use it?
No, we never really needed to use it. My tank is 30 gallons. I never had to use it. And this is with, again, COVID and closed gas stations. We certainly passed ones that you could tell were open at one point, but were not any longer. One of the things that I did to make it easier was to download Google Maps, so for offline use. That's what we use to navigate, and I think I had to download, because of the size of each map, around like 33 different ones to get the entire Alcan highway in there. But what that gave me the ability to do was I could search for where the next gas station was going to be, how many miles in between. And then I use the range on the truck that tells me how long or gives you an approximation to say, okay, well, I can skip this gas station, or I better get gas at this gas station. So that was very handy. So between the two vehicles, we had 12 gallons of gasoline, and then we had 20 gallons of diesel fuel to carry with us. And yeah, we never used it. Did run it close to a couple of low fuel, signs, knowing that I had it in the back and was able to run into the gas station, the next one. A lot of people said make sure you stop at the border and get cash. Out there in the Yukon, if there's some little gas stations that aren't fully operating, because remember, borders are closed, even though we're going through it, maybe they're cash only. So we did stop at an ATM, picked up some cash. So far, haven't had to use it. Every single place we went took our card, and that's what we used because it just was automatic. There was no foreign exchange transfer fees with our bank, so it was just way easier to swipe and go on.
The milepost. Everyone says make sure you have the milepost before you go on the Alaska Highway, and we did. That was the first thing that we did when we thought we were going to go to Alaska.
That was the first thing that you bought.
In February, we bought the 2021 edition from the day it was released.
Yep.
On Amazon, and I will say it was very helpful in the sense that it tells you a lot of the history and things around the areas and things that you could go see and explore and do, which is all fantastic if you have time to do that.
Or permission.
Yeah.
If it wasn't just you've got 4 days to get through it all, then I could see where it would be handy.
If you rely on RV parks, it probably is a really good guide. For us, we don't really stay in a lot of RV parks when we're on the go like that, and especially in this little whirlwind of 4 days. We just wanted to pull over and sleep, and there were a lot of places to do so on the Alaska Highway, which is something we did not realize was going to be the case. They were everywhere. There were all kinds of places to pull over. The communication on the road, since we had 2 vehicles and there was 0 cell service, we utilized our walkies.
Well, actually, we have one that we love. It's been a Friday fave of ours for a while. We'll leave a description
Yeah, we'll
link.
put it in the description because they have been really great for us. But we use those to communicate with each other. Yep. We did have a CB radio with us.
Well, so we had the CB radio that was generously given to me on a loan from a friend, and I had it and used it. I did buy a new antenna for it, but I had very short distance, probably needed to be tuned. I know you have to do that to get them dialed in and stuff. I would recommend it still, because there are certainly areas out there, and if you only have one vehicle, you could be stranded if something breaks down. So I would invest in a really good antenna for it, and just to make sure it gets tuned and stuff before you make that trip. Well, and there was some traffic on the road enough that we never really felt super nervous about anything.
Yeah. So we did have some damage to the rig. Nothing major. The most major thing you've already seen. It was last Tuesday. John fixed the slide cables, and then since we got shook around a lot, is that a word?
Shook.
We got shook. There were things that fell apart inside Wendy, and frankly, I'm almost baffled that she stayed together as well as she did.
You guys remember, this is not even a full-time rig. This is an ultralight trailer.
Yeah.
Never designed for full-time. We have a family of 5 plus a dog living in this thing for 3 years now. Yeah. So it's held up, surprisingly well. But what were some of the things?
I fixed this for you once already today.
You didn't fix it. You shoved a stick in it.
Well, that's what everybody says. All these loose screws, everyone's like, put some toothpicks or sticks in there. I did put sticks in there. But the hinge broke too.
So our cabinet door fell off earlier today. And just now we realized our sink is cracked. Duct tape to the rescue. So it's cracked right here. Like it's actually fully cracked. Oh, Wendy.
Oh my gosh. I think it's just age. I just want to go to bed. I don't want to do this right now.
That was something. That was really rough. And now there's stuff everywhere, all over the floor. Okay, yeah, it's not terrible, but we did lose the stovetop. Oh my gosh. You know, honestly, I think if the bikes hadn't been in here, that all of that stuff would be on the floor and scattered. One thing that we didn't really prepare for is mud flaps. I don't know why we just never have invested in them, and kind of wish now that we're on the Alaska Highway that maybe we would have, because this is what's happening. The rocks and everything are kicking up really bad on this. The nose of Wendy, she's gonna need a nose job, I think. Loose screws. We have a lot of them. We have a lot of loose screws. He's fixing the handle on the outside of the rig, which has popped off again, or rattled off or ripped off by a child. We're not sure. This is our microwave. Something went awry here. This is our stove, and the pieces of the propane have shaken apart. In our refrigerator, some of the lids rattled loose.
There was another Alaskan casualty that we have found. Who knows what this is? Look at that. Oh, you know what that is, guys? That is the low point drain for my hot water. Look at that dirty underbelly. Goodness gracious. I wanted to make sure I got the right part, so I actually just cut it off, and I don't mind doing that because this is already hanging down a little bit lower anyway. So I'm going to also replace the cold water one too, just because it's also a little cracked. Okay, both are done. Got the little clamps on there, locked off, and now I can turn the water back on.
We did experience some damage to the Jeep's windshield. There were several chips and 2 cracks. It was 100% covered with 0 deductible, and we got it replaced as soon as we got to Anchorage.
We hope you guys enjoyed this. It is super fun kind of recapping all of these crazy adventures that we've had on this trip so far, and it's just going to get better. And people here are even like, you did that?
Yeah.
And that? You did what?
You did what?
With who?
Yeah, we really did.
We really did.
So
anyway, stay tuned for that. But we hope you did enjoy this video. If you're new, let us know in the comment section below so we can kind of welcome you to it. Hi. Yeah. Thanks, guys, and we'll
see you out there. Wait, ready?
Thanks, guys, and we'll see you out. We'll
see you out there.